What's up guys, Imosloth here, back with some Magic the Gathering content. Today we are talking new Brother Wars spoilers. And we got some pretty crazy card, including one of the best board wipes ever printed. So, Urza Sylax is 3 of any color for legendary artifact that has pay 2 and 2 white, tap, exile Urza Sylax. Each player chooses 6 lands they control. Destroy all other permanents. Activate only as a sorcery. And when Urza Sylax is put into exile from the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, search your library for a Planeswalker card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. So Sylax can be played in a lot of different ways. You can play it on turn 3 and then blow it up on turn 4. You can play it on turn 7, pay the 3 and then pay the 4 immediately and then blow it up. And also you can wait until you get 6 mana so you can actually get the Planeswalker. You could also wait for 9 mana to activate everything, put it into play, blow up the board, and get the Planeswalker. The only awkward thing about this card is that the last ability, it promotes you running Planeswalkers in your deck. But the first ability, it takes out Planeswalkers, so there's a bit of non-bow in there. So the only Planeswalker I see you actually getting is the Wandering Emperor. Wandering Emperor is crazy, and it goes with the theme that you're trying to build. So this card could see play in a deck that just doesn't really want to run permanents. They just run all instant speed sorceries, and then this card only hits your opponent. This card's main competitor is Farewell. So the Sylax can be faster than Farewell, being able to use it on turn 4, but you're paying total 7, which Farewell is 6. Farewell, you can choose what you want, but it doesn't hit Planeswalkers. This does. This also has card advantage at the end, so I think these cards are actually pretty close in power level. So Farewell saw play, so I also think that this card will also see some play. Portal to Phyrexia is 9 mana for an artifact with, when Portal to Phyrexia enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from your graveyard onto battlefield, under your control. It's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. This is what Power Stones want to ramp into. It's a big spell that comes in and wins the game. They can, and they might, because Power Stones are everywhere in this set. It can be really, really good if mid-range is a thing. If there's a lot of mid-range, making them sacrifice 3 creatures is pretty great, and then their mid-range, so they'll have big creatures in their graveyards for you to reanimate from that second ability. If aggro is everywhere, this card's not very good. It will sit in your hand for so long when you need another card to stabilize. So yeah, I think aggro destroys this. And if there's some good counterspells in the meta, Control also destroys this. But there could be a deck that's all about ramp, so you try to get big creatures and maybe have a way of putting them into the grave and reanimating with another effect. This card gets really good, because if you're getting back like 7 drops every turn, it will win you the game. Liberator Urza Battlethopter is 3 of any color for a 1/2 legendary artifact creature Thopter. It has flash and flying. You may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast it was greater than Liberator Urza's Battlethopter's power, put a 1/1 counter on Liberator. I think this card is neat in artifact decks. It having flash and then giving flash is very strong to surprise your opponent. Let's say he's already in play. Your opponent will have a hard time gauging how to attack, because you might just bring out a bunch of artifacts, make this guy bigger and block and kill the thing. So it'll give your opponent a time to think about it, and then could possibly grow really big. It is legendary, so you don't want to run too many of them. So I think artifact decks are around like a 2 of this card. Yeah, cool card. Tokasia Digsite Mentor is 1 of any color, 1 green, 1 white, and 1 blue for 4/3 legendary creature human artificer. She has creature you control have vigilance and tap surveil 1. And pay 2 of any color, 2 green, 2 white, 2 blue. Exile Tokasia Digsite Mentor from your graveyard. Return any number of target artifact cards with a total mana value of 10 or less from your graveyard onto the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcerer. So if you play her when you're ahead on board, she gets pretty crazy. You get to attack with all your creatures, and then every creature surveils 1, so you put stuff in the graveyard. And you look for the perfect card to fill out next turn. And if you put Tokasia into the graveyard from there, then you can use her ability at the bottom. So this card would be really good in an artifacts creatures deck. So you can get stuff from her last ability and from her top ability. If that deck exists, this card would be very strong in there. Lorn of the Third Path is 2 of any color and 1 white for a 2/1 legendary creature human artificer. She has Vigilance. Also, when Lorn of the Third Path enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target or enchantment. And then she has tapped, you and target opponent each draw a card. So Reclamation Sage is a good card that saw a lot of play in sideboards. So this is Reclamation Sage but with extra things. The Vigilance is fine, so you can attack and then block and then tap to draw. So the last ability was interesting because normally I don't like the white spells that make each player draw a card. But normally I don't like those just because those cards, your opponents gets the cards first in a lot of the situation. But with Lorn, you get the card first. So the first way you do it, you have nothing to play. You draw first, you get a card, put it in. You've seen that card before your opponent. So it gives you an incremental advantage. And the second way to play her is if you have played something, you wait until your opponent's end step and then you do the draw. So it becomes your turn and you're the first one with that card. And this is important because it breaks the parity of the draw. You get the draw first, so it seems like a strong card. And as a commander, I think you can run a bit of blinking stuff so she can take out artifacts, but you get like a friendship thing with one of your opponents, and maybe you'll ask for things for the draw. So I think she's neat in commander, and she's also pretty good in standard, depending on how many artifacts and enchantments you'll see. There's been a lot of artifacts, so there's a chance that a lot of artifacts will be played, and this is a good tech card. Painful Conjures 3 of any colors and 2 black for an enchantment that has, whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life, unless to discard a card. If there's a lot of control, resolving this against a combo player could be brutal, especially if they don't have too many cards and they have to take the 5. If, let's say, they are at 5 life, they just can't cast spells. If you really want to take advantage of this spell, you got to make it so it's not a choice. Because when its choice is bad, they'll take the one that's better for them. But when it's not, it starts really taking out their value. So either go like a really aggressive deck or a heavy discard deck, and then this card could be very strong. But it's 5 mana and it's a bit slow. I want to see some play. I think is a really cool design, but I don't think it's anything crazy. Lay Down Arms is 1 white mana for sorcery that exiles target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control. Its controller gains 3 life. In mono white control, this card is insane. You could be killing 5 mana and 4 mana cards pretty consistently for 1 mana in your control, so you don't care that you're giving them the 3 life. It could also be used in aggressive decks, there's a couple of. It's just kind of bad synergy if you're aggro, you don't want to give your opponent's life, but I think it's so efficient in mono white that you still run like 1 or 2. Urza's Rebuff is 1 of any color and 2 blue for an instant. That has choose 1, counter target spell, or tap up to 2 target creatures. So the tap 2 target creatures are good against aggressive decks, and the counter spells are good against bigger mid-range control decks. So it kind of does everything you need it to do in every situation. So yeah, I think this card is pretty good. So I don't talk much about commons, but this card is pretty good. It's pretty flexible. +2/+2 for 2 normally is on a creature that can attack immediately, so it's like a 2/2 haste, which is not bad. But also having the ability to make one creature not block forever is pretty crazy. It's good against creature decks, but it's also not dead against control because you can just give your guy the boost. That might be a trap though, because they'll kill that creature in response and then they'll 2-for-1 you, but the card could see some play. Obstinate Baloth is 2 of any color and 2 green for a 4/4 beast. It has, when Obstinate Baloth enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. And if a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard Obstinate Baloth, put it into the battlefield instead of putting it into the graveyard. I used to play this guy in Modern, and he was very good at what he did. In 2 ways, 4 mana for a 4/4 that gains you 4 is pretty good, especially if you're against an aggressive deck. He's a pretty big creature, so he can block, and the 4 life is not nothing. But he can also come down if you're playing against Liliana, which she's seeing a lot of play. And this card is a huge blowout when you do see her. Yeah, dope card, and I'm pretty sure it's going to see play. Philaji Vanguard is 2 of any color, 1 red, 1 white for a 2/3 human soldier with first strike. When Philaji Vanguard or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So in the soldier deck, this guy's pretty decent. Not only is he a soldier, but they tend to play a lot of 1/1s. And this card doesn't not specify tokens. Tokens work with this ability. So you can actually get a pretty big buff on the board. The problem though with this guy is he's at 2/3, so he dies to cut down. And that's just not good, losing a 4-drop. You do have an ETB ability, so it's not the worst. But it's still very bad for you. So I'm not sure this will see too much play. But could be cool in an aggressive deck if you play enough creatures. Because the first strike get pretty ridiculous if he has a lot of power. Third Path Iconoclast is 1 blue and 1 red for a 2/1 human monk. He has, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. So Young Pyromancer is a very good card. Everyone thought it was bad, but when it came out and people started playing with it, they realized it was really strong. And then they saw some play in Modern before Modern got crazy broken. But it is still strong. And the difference between that is he's blue, but he also works with non-creature spells. So he works with artifacts, enchantments, instant sorceries. And if you play the deck properly, you'll get a lot of 1/1s from this guy. So yeah, I think this card might be better than Young Pyromancer, but might see the equal amount of play because this you need blue-red to play this guy, so it makes him harder to cast. But yeah, very cool card. I think I'll definitely see some play with this. Brotherhood's End is 1 and 2 red for a sorcery that has choose one. Brotherhood End deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker, or destroy all artifact with mana value 3 or less. I think this is the strongest card of the day. If you just look at one on the first one, dealing 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalkers can be devastating for an aggressive deck. You can 3-for-1 them easily, but it also has the second thing, which destroys all artifacts, which is also crazy because they tend to get a lot of them, and being able to wipe that board too is crazy. And then they're both on the same cards. The card gives you crazy flexibility. It's gonna make aggro have a really hard time to get past this. So yeah, I think this card will definitely see play, even to Modern. To that extent, that's how much I like this card. When this comes out, it's gonna be the best mass removal in Standard easily. That is all the cards for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. And Imbusloth out.